Okay, it's antenna swap out time. I got one of these RCA preamps. They're junk. On my tower there, I had it right there. I took my VHF down. That's what went out is my VHF. My UHF's fine. And what I did, I had my little preamp here in between, and I had my VHF on the bottom. I had that jacked up higher, and I knew this when my TV started going out. What happened was I'd turn my amplifier on, run my TV, it plugged into the wall wart, it heat up, and I thought it was messed up, but that wasn't messed up. And my VHF, this has got a combo, VHF and UHF, and these things are pretty much junk. VHF, you run that in off that bottom antenna I got hanging off that pole, and the UHF combo, which is, well, actually I'm just using a UHF, but it'll run right up into that there UHF. But my VHF went out. I got tired of that mess, and well, it's nice and warm, so I got out here, decided to go ahead and pull that thing down. I'm about 50 feet in the air with this thing. It's a pain in the butt. But so what I'm going to do is put another one in. But what happened here when I pulled this off, I knew I pulled this apart. I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart here. I got it already pulled apart right here where it arced, right there where it's burnt. Let's see. Right there where it's burnt right there. That's where your VHF comes in. You turn it over, that's where your VHF. Right here, from this little switch here, this, and your trap. All that's burnt up right there on the edge right there. See right there where it's burnt up? All right in there. So that's what my VHF went out. So I'm going to change this out and put me another preamp on there. I'm going to go with this one here. I picked up. It's a preamp and a distributing amplifier. I'm going to try this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a couple of these. I'm going to run me four preamps up on the tower. I plan on taking a little bit of scenery while I'm up on this tower. Got all that back. In the future, I'm going to put another antenna back this way. It's going to be one of them VHF antennas I have in that bar down there. And maybe put a bay antenna right in front of this thing here, pointing back this way. That's coming down. Got to redo that. There's all my satellite dishes out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this thing up. I'm also gonna mount some cameras up here too. Okay, I'm back on this. Got everything hooked up. UHF on top, VHF on bottom, VHF pointed toward Columbus, Georgia, UHF on top, pointed toward Tallahassee. I removed the amplifier. It was a pain in the butt to get that preamp off there. That thing was shot. So I'm not gonna go through all of the hell and hassle. I'm gonna mount that preamp right here at the bottom of this thing. So I have to climb that thing. So what I'm gonna do, I got me some old made up rabbit ears that I did a while back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a channel scan on these first. Fixing to do a channel scan, then I'm gonna hook up and do VHF at the bottom. I'm gonna do a channel scan on it, and I'm gonna do a channel scan on the UHF. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a channel scan with this little old dinky antenna I got hooked up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in the menu, auto scan, scan digitals, and I'm doing a scan right now. This is rinky-dinky antenna. You've probably seen them. They used to fit on old TVs, but what I did, I drilled me a little hole in the bottom, and I made my own, so it'll just, you pull it up and stick it on there and put an adapter on there and screw it in. But Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Looks like it's not working right now. Well, just the 4 channels looks like it. Like I say, I'm way out, so don't get much. So that's it. Let me go ahead and get out of this. Nothing above 36. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of it. It won't let me out. It's supposed to, but it ain't gonna let me do it. I don't know why it does that, but I'm out of that. That's all it's gonna get. So I'm getting only getting 4 or 5 channels here, just with this makeshift antenna. I don't know why it does that 36.3. That's an RF channel off channel 4, but for some reason it scans in 36.3. It does that occasionally, but like I say, with this rabbit ear, I only get a few channels. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of here, and I'm gonna hook this VHF up, and I'm gonna go ahead and do another channel scan. By the way, this is very convenient, this little antenna I went and got. You know, I didn't pay no more than $2 for it. So what I did, I just screwed me a jumper on here, which runs into the back. And run into the back, and it comes screws in right here. So I just unscrewed this right here, and I'll screw my antenna for my VHF onto that. So I'm fixing to do a channel scan on my VHF. Okay, got my wire hooked up, running up the antenna to the VHF at the bottom. That's pointed toward Columbus, Georgia. I should scan in about 8 channels. So I'm fixing to do a channel scan and see if I can get these Columbus channels. This is on my VHF low channel. I mean, VHF is low and high antenna. So I'm gonna see if I can scan in these Columbus channels. All right, see what we get. I already scanned in RF7. That's great. Right there at the bottom it says RF. Yeah, there you go. It's another RF11, channel 9 out of Columbus, just scanned in. Okay. Let's see if I get anything else. I shouldn't get anything else. If I do, it's going to be a station that's right down the road. Okay, that's going to scan in right there, because that's that station that was on there a while ago. They're about 3 miles from here. It's on UHF, so that's going to scan in anyway. So I am getting the Columbus channels as well. I'm getting 26 channels. That's pretty dang good for a little old bitty VHF antenna like that. That's doing pretty good. 26 channels scanned in. 30 channels. Actually, that's pretty dang good there. So I'm getting 34 channels. There you go. I've got 40 now. That's apparently it scanned in another UHF channel that's close by. So that's doing pretty good. I think that's it. 36 as high as it'll go on the RF. I'm just gonna let it count out, and I'm gonna see what I got on here. Okay, I'm getting WTVY. I'm getting, that's interesting. I might have just hooked a UHF antenna up, because for some reason I'm getting a UHF. No, I got my VHF. That's my VHF. So I'm getting channel 9 out of Columbus, Georgia. There's no way I could get this off the UHF antenna. So apparently I got my VHF antenna hooked up, but there's no way I could get this channel off my UHF antenna only, because this station's about 96, their transmitter's about 96 miles away. There's no way I can get this far away. So I'm on that VHF antenna at the bottom right there. The Stellar Lab is pulling this in. They're 96 miles away, the transmitter on channel 9. Okay, 13 Panama City. I'm kind of getting the back side of Panama City. You see a little freezing up, but like I say, I'm pointing toward Columbus. I'm not pointing toward Panama City, so I'm getting the back side. So this thing is working great. Now I'm picking this channel up. It's only 4 miles away, UHF. That's naturally gonna come in. It's only 4 miles away. Surprisingly, I'm picking this up as well. This is a pretty good ways away, but it's UHF. 25 is RF7. out of Columbus, out of the Columbus area. UHF, this is a UHF display, but it's RS7 out of Columbus, Georgia. Comes in great. So that's doing pretty good as well. 34, that's unusual for that they're coming in. This is very unusual. These UHF channels coming in at this distance, that's pretty unusual. Well, that's my VHF antenna. So that's hooked directly to that smaller antenna. I'm pulling in, the one on the bottom, I'm pulling in 42 channels. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect that, and I'm gonna go ahead and hook in my UHF antenna and do a scan on that. And after that, I'm gonna put a splitter in there and split them both together, which most people shouldn't do anyway, just for the heck of it, since I'm getting a pretty good signal anyway. But I'm gonna get a little loss on signal, so I'm gonna see when I put the splitter in there, I'm gonna see how many channels I'll scan in after that. So what I'm gonna do now, pull the VHF antenna and do me a scan on the UHF antenna, pointed in. That UHF antenna is pointed toward the Tallahassee stations. By the way, I didn't scan those Tallahassee stations in using this VHF antenna. So when I hook the UHF antenna up, I should get a completely different set of channels. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Okay, I now have my UHF antenna hooked up. And another reason I put this piece of tape on to remind me this is a VHF, this is a VHF one. And this is the UHF, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a channel scan on the UHF antenna now. And naturally, it's gonna pick that up anyway, because that's the one that's 4 miles away. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another scan. This should be a whole other set of channels. These should all come out of Tallahassee. And this is gonna be all UHF. So you're looking right now on the RF scale, there's nothing scanning in, because this is completely UHF antenna. That's unusual. I'm not pointing the right way, but nevertheless I'm getting 6. So I did scan in a couple Tallahassee stations right there. There you go, 27 out of Tallahassee scanned in. They're on RF 27, 9, 13. Now keep in mind, these are all different set of channels, except for the station that's close by. Okay, we scanned in 30 channels now. The majority of these are all Tallahassee stations. That should be it. Of course, 36 is as high as it's going to go. I'm just going to let it run on out. So we've scanned in 38 channels. I believe there's a couple of them, maybe the main station and the 3 subs are probably right down the road, and the rest of them are all Tallahassee stations. So I'm going to check this out and see what we got. Well, actually, this is UHF, so it's going to scan into Panama City. This is RF16, Panama City, so it's definitely picking that up good. This is Panama City, so those will come in as well. Okay. That's right down the road. I don't have this thing pointed right. Okay, that's right down the road too, CW24. This one is out of Tallahassee, 24 out of Tallahassee. Okay. This is 24 out of Tallahassee. Now we're on 27 out of Tallahassee. This is all UHF. Of course, this is 34 right down the road, so that's UHF out of Dothan, so that's going to come in anyway. This is 40 out of Tallahassee. Okay, which shares Fox as well, the Fox network. This is PBS out of, I guess, Louisville, Alabama. And of course, Fox 49 out of Tallahassee is coming in great as well. So that looks great on that one. So I'm gonna probably go up. Well, actually, Channel 6 out of Tallahassee is not coming in because of their reduced power, and because they're doing the ACT 3.0 on one of their channels. I believe when I get a TV, I'll tune or I'll do another scan, see if I can pick it up. But from what I understand, their regular main station had to reduce power, so I'm not getting it. But I can go up there and tweak that thing and kind of turn it back toward the right a little bit on the top, the UHF. which I kind of don't want to do, but I don't think it really matters because I'm already getting duplicates anyway. So, but according, bear in mind, the guy told me as soon as everything's well and done, 3 years down the road, that station should come right back in. So that's the only one I don't get. Now, Channel 11 out of Tallahassee, I don't get it because it's going to be more or less this way back toward Panama City. It's a little bit further back south, west. So they're at a different location, so I'm not getting it. Which it doesn't matter. Like I say, the Florida channel, I can get it on satellite anyway on 87 West, I believe. So I'm not really worried. That's the only one I'm missing is the Florida channel, but I can get it, like I say, I can get it on satellite 87 West KU anyway. So I'm not really worried about that. So it's pretty good. So the bottom one is, I'm scanning in 42 channels, I believe, on the bottom one. Most of them are Columbus or in that area up northern part of Alabama, up the river, and the top one's UHF. That's more or less the majority of those are Tallahassee, and I'm also getting some Panama City stations on the backside as well as on the backside on the VHF one as well. Works pretty good. Now there is no amplifier on this thing. There's no booster on this thing. I done pulled this old ugly looking RCA piece of junk off here. But the traces were all shoddy and everything else. I kind of figured that was out. The VHF part of it went out on that. But I'm going to put another booster on there. Instead of putting it on top, I'm going to just mount it right here because there's absolutely no signal loss. Matter of fact, I'm using quad wire now. It works better than it did when I had the RCA hooked up to it with the booster. So this actually works better without it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a better booster on here. I'm just going to mount it right here, chest level, in a little brown box. That way the water will stay out of it. Mount it there. Then I'm going to, because the cables run underground anyway, so I'll get signal loss from here to there. So that'll bring the juice or the signal back if there's any loss. So I'm going to mount it right here. It should work great. And I got a couple antennas in there, VHF. All VHF, VHF high, VHF low. There's a big one right there. I will probably somehow mount it on the bottom part. I think I can squeeze it right there on the bottom somehow because everything's going to be fixed. I'm not using that rotor. That rotor is just there just to hold the thing there. The rotor's froze up, so I'm just going to just leave that rotor alone. And I'll probably just mount another one. I'll probably point it back kind of toward the northwest a little bit. And I will see if I can pull in a couple Montgomery channels. Probably get channel 2, which is the public channel. I got duplicates of it anyway. I'm probably looking at channel 2 out of actually south of Montgomery. I don't know where that little town is, at Dozer or somewhere. Channel 2 PBS. I'll probably pull it in, and I'll probably get channel 12 out of Montgomery, which is RF8 and RF2. So I'll probably have it pointed back this way toward Montgomery. Then that'll probably complete that. Then I got more antennas. So what I'll probably do as well, I'll run me a bay antenna and mount it at the bottom and point it toward Panama City and pull in those other UHF channels out of Panama City. 28, well actually not 28, 28 is RF9. I hadn't figured that one out yet out of Panama, but I'll probably with that I'll try to get the channel 21, RF21 out of Panama City, and 56 if possible, and 51 as well out of Panama City, Marietta. So I might put 2 more antennas on there. I might just put the one and have it pointed toward Montgomery. Either the one toward the VHF high or the UHF bay pointed toward Panama City. I hadn't made my mind up. So that's it for now. So what I'm going to do now is next few days I'm just going to take that preamp put right here. And what I'm thinking about doing, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. What I just about forgot I was going to do. I'm going to do another scan. I'm going to put a splitter in here, and I'm going to just put a two-way splitter in there and hook it into this and do another scan. So I'm fixing to do that right now. Okay, I got my splitter hooked up. VHF, UHF, but I don't have very much hope for the splitter because splitters usually don't work, and I'll show you why. You see how that picture is froze up on there? That's a UHF frequency. RF16. It's not coming in. So like I say, I don't have no hope on these splitters, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a scan anyway, and I'm going to see what happens. Digital channels only, just for the heck of it, I want to see what happens. I'm going to look at the RF frequencies as I go. Look at there. It just skipped everything. So I don't have no hope on those splitters. See there, it just skips. See, it hesitates, but it's just not going to scan it. Because you lose everything. Look at there. RF21s, which is probably going to come in anyway. Yep, because it's right down the road. Right down the road again. Look at there. So we're getting a few Tallahassee channels. I'm surprised. They're scanning in. Yes. So we're hesitating. No, it didn't scan it in. So look at there. We get some, but we drop about. Look at the channels we drop in though. We're not getting anything. So I don't have hope in splitters. Splitters just don't work. It's 19 channels. That's a pretty good for this area, but still, I should be scanning in about almost 60 stations if I had this hooked up correctly through a separate preamp with separate inputs. So I only get 19 stations, so you can see a splitter just doesn't work. Now I'm gonna go through and see what we got. These are local here. That's also local. We get one Tallahassee. We might get, and as you see, it freezes up right there a little bit. See, it's not barely coming in, but we do get a Tallahassee station. And we might have some luck. We might get that HNI. No, it skipped it. We will not. That's to only get one Tallahassee station. So I don't have any hope on splitters. See there. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you something. As you know, I only scanned in 19 stations. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave this splitter hooked up, and I'm going to remove one of these. Now I have removed one of these, so you can rest assured there's going to be a difference, even though I just removed one of those. So it really doesn't matter which one I remove, but when I remove one of them, you're going to see a difference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fix to do another scan. See, that popped in. It's popping in and out. But I'm going to do another scan, and you're going to see a difference. And that shows you right there, splitters don't work. Even though the splitter's still hooked up, but I removed one of the cables that's pulling everything down. So let's see what happens if I get more than 19 stations. Of course, sometimes that splitter, leaving that splitter on there, sometimes that'll mess it up too. It's better just to use a preamp with several inputs on the preamp for VHF and UHF, if possible. But like I say, I'm going to use a switch. I got a switch inside. I'm going to be routing all this stuff through a switch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a preamp forever antenna and run a regular main unit amplifier for the, I'll put that on the back side of the switch. And the switch will be in between. So when I just switch it inside, I should scan in multiple stations. So, see, even with the splitter on there, it didn't work. So I'm going to remove the splitter, and I'm just going to randomly, I don't know which one, I'm just going to hook one up and do another scan. Okay, I removed my splitter.
Low battery.
I hooked that back on. I got a low battery. I'm going to see if I can do a scan here before this battery dies. And they ain't going to let me do it. Okay, I'm hooked up to electricity. I got this battery problem solved. Like I say, I removed the splitter, got it hooked directly up. I just randomly just picked one or the other. I'm gonna hit scan again. and I'm going to show you all them channels will come right back. Doesn't matter if it's the VHF or the UHF. I'm getting tons of them anyway. Because like you say, if you use that splitter, you're going to lose a lot of stuff. So I'm going to do a scan. All them channels are going to come right back. Let's see what we're going to do. I must have the UHF one hooked up because I'm not getting no VHF. Let's see what happens. There you go, with the Tallahassee station. There's another one. And there's another one. Of course, that's a local there. That's another Tallahassee just popped in. There's another one coming up. See, they're all coming back. So like I say, when you use a splitter, it don't work. I thought I had me a little luck right there. I thought, well, I might just get lucky and use that splitter. It might hold on to some of them stations. And I just put the preamp on there and hook everything back up, run it to the house, and hook it to the TV. And I might have 60 stations, but it don't work that way. Look at there. 44 stations. And that's about to see it. I'm not going to get no more. There's nothing above 36. So that's it. So like I say, all them stations coming back. That's it for now. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is hook my preamp up. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Hook it up, and I might just get some multiple. I'll get one preamp. Actually, I'll get like I said, I'm gonna get a box and I'll get 2 preamps hooked up there. Running my wire, running the underground wires. I'll run them up into that, and I'll use a switch inside. And in the future, I'll show you how to use that switch. It's very simple. When you change the channels, if you know your channel, you just flip the switch. It just automatically points to the antenna wherever that switch is set for. Unfortunately, you have to do it manually. I wish it was like satellite. Now with a satellite, with a digital, you just buy you just use those 8-way ports switches, and you just have it pointed to whatever transponder or whatever, and it just switches automatically. I wish they had something like that for antenna. It'd be great if they had some way you could just go to your as you scan your channels, and you can just manually go in there and set it for certain points. What I meant was you can scan your channels in, put your channels in, manually go in and set it for whatever port you want, and each port will represent whatever antenna you pointed out at. It'd be great if they had that for antenna, but they don't. But they have it for satellite. Works great. Now, like I say, switches are the best way to go. But even though if I have to go through the channels and I'll show you how I cascade them, I'll split them out and just flip them, go A, B, B, A, or whatever. Just flip the switches and whatever. It's kind of like a port setup. And I'll just set it up for whatever antenna I'm pointed at. I'll do that in the future. But that's it for now. So, like I say, I might put another antenna on there. I don't know. Oh, I might put 2 on there. And I'm going to get these antennas. I'm figuring I can get a break. It's nice and warm up now. Get these antennas all fixed up and get them all, up to date and all. Then I'm gonna get back on my satellite stuff over there and get back on it. I found a lot of junker internet dishes. I'm gonna hook up and convert those to KU. I got about 6 or 7 of them piled up over there that I picked up, and I'm gonna convert them over to KU and put all that stuff on switches. But on this antenna, that's pretty much it for now. And I'll get back with you and talk to you later. Bye. Okay, one more thing. It's weird, but when I hook up the VHF only up, I scan 44 channels. Now some of them's going to be UHF as well because they're close by. And when I hook up the UHF up top separate by itself on that one, I also scan 44 channels. What's so weird is whichever antenna I use, I lose half the channels and gain other channels. So basically, when I get a good combination just on that setup, get a great combination for VHF and UHF on a preamp, on the correct preamp instead of using a splitter. If everything goes, I'll be scanning in, let's see, an additional 20 channels on top of 44 because, like I say, half of them was dropped. So when I put a combination of both in there, I add another 18 to 20 channels in there. So instead of getting 44 channels, I will get 64 channels scanned in. So that's great. So basically, splitters don't work. You seen that a while ago. I went down to 19 channels using this splitter with a UHF and VHF combination. They don't work. But if you use a preamp, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be able to scan in 56 to 60 channels on this thing with this little setup right here. And really that's not much of a setup because I'm going to be adding some more stuff to this later. So that's it for now. Talk to you later. Bye.